topic number 3 is the best Sean Connery movie.
Rest in peace.
All right. Yes. So a couple weeks ago, Sean Connery passed away. So we want to dedicate this topic to the late great Sean Connery. With that being said, Paul, you're first.
Honorable mention. I didn't choose it because I didn't think anyone would know what it is, and honestly, probably no one knows the one I'm about to say, anyways. But W. Gill and the Little People.
That is his highest ranked movie on IMDb.
It is.
And
it's
100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep. Yeah, it's just a small scene, but it's an old movie, but it's a classic movie. And then the other one for me, honorable mention. I love Sean Connery, by the way, so God rest his soul and everything else that he's gone through. He was a man of mans, if you ask me. Stand-up guy. So we hear people die, and a lot of times it's like, oh, okay, that's sad. Yeah, it hit me on him. I'll be honest with you. Never met the guy either, but so much stories and so much life through him watching his films. Second one, honorable mention, but it's not on the list, is The Hunt for Red October. I think that's a really good one. I mean, shows his talented switching into Russian and everything else. I think that's just great. All right, so on to my choice. Family Business. I mean, here's the story, a complete story of this family, East Coast, the struggles they went through, the separation of their family, son doesn't call the father calls him by his first name. Here comes, just the tension in between, the tension at the very beginning, the differences in cultures there. You have Connery, who is Scottish. He marries a Sicilian woman. They had a kid. They had a falling out, and his son went and married a Jewish family. And just the interworkings, and it's just a classic in that genre, and it tells the story and the struggles. You got a kid that was raised on good money and good direction, scholarships, and he just dropped it. All of a sudden, he just kind of fell into what it kind of runs in the genes, and just the falling apart of the family and the coming together, and then the coming together at the very end, and just realizing the differences. And what that truly meant. I mean, and 3 good actors: Dustin Hoffman, Sean Connery, and then the other guy. I went blank on his name.
We'll debate on Matthew Broderick in a second.
Oh boy,
up and coming at that time. So that's why I chose it. I think it just kind of showed the whole thing. He was a main actor throughout the whole process, and had to go through different stages and explore joy. And Sean Connery is just a badass. I mean, that guy. Just a badass in every role that he plays. That's why I chose it.
All right, Cam's on you.
Family Business. Never seen it before. I watched it this week. I do not like this movie. Sean Connery is Sean Connery. Okay, there's a certain level of respect you have to give the man, but this movie, is a slap in the face to a lot of immigrants. Okay, it's because of the way that they operate in some parts. It's on top of that, I'm from New York. It's also a real slap in the face for the criminals to be like, oh, this neighborhood is going to shit, and they're criminals. It's there's a lot of just underhanded shit in this movie, and it just pissed me off. On top of it being a really dry movie, I got the plot, and I felt like it just was not for me. Like, the whole movie pissed me off. You got this kid. You already have, well, granted, yes, immigrants. You've come to America. They've made a life here based on crime. Then judge other people who are committing crimes. That's a problem in itself. But yeah, the best part was the granddad, because he was real. He's the best part of this movie, and he's the only person I kind of respect, because he calls everything like he sees it, keeps it very straightforward, and I appreciate that. But the rest of the characters in this movie, all of them would get punched in the face. Even to the Jewish family that they go to have dinner with, and the girlfriend talking about how they pretty much screw people that are about to die and offer them, you know, money for their apartment just because they know it's about to double its value because it's Manhattan. Like, it's just a whole bunch of like low down shit that pissed me off. And I know it's just a movie, but I can't. I'm so sorry. I hated it.
Sorry. Okay, so it's on me. And let's talk about the good things first. The main three, rest in peace, Sean Connery, Dustin Hoffman, and I don't know what Evan's going to say, but Matthew Broderick is a star. From Ferris Bueller's Day Off to he was Simba in The Lion King. He from the cable guy. God damn it! From the cable guy. The cast is okay. Cam is right. It was a little dry. First and first, so make sure I can say this. Make sure I can say this. What nationality were they? Because I know they were immigrants, but
it was like Sicilian and something else.
No,
the mom was Sicilian.
Yeah.
The dad was.
Sean Connery was Scottish.
Scottish, yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously the son is a mix.
Yeah.
And so it's not like it's not like it was like a super, but it was just like
No, because that confused me. But Paul's right though. It's about a family that split up because of their actions, and they came back together, and then split up again. They came back together. It's just some road family shit. But Kim is right as well. It was really, really freaking dry. It's nostalgia 80s movie. So yeah, it's nostalgia 80s movie. It wouldn't have been in my top. I mean, thankfully may make me watch it, but it would have been my top 4 at all. All right, Evans, on you.
So my biggest thing with this movie is that it's simple. It just couldn't get made today. I don't think. I think the situations involved would there's always going to be somebody who's going to be offended.
Mm-hmm.
And so just nowadays it's hard to make that kind of a movie. Like Cam said, it's dry. It is. And DeAndre, let's get into this whole Matthew Broderick's a star thing. Because he's not. The motherfucker was in Godzilla. Okay, he was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which I will give him that. That is a great fucking movie.
The Cable Guy and Lion King.
Nah, I didn't like him in Cable Guy, and fuck young Simba.
He wasn't young Simba. He was old Simba.
Was he old Simba?
Yes.
I thought he was young Simba.
And you like Cable Guy? Cable Guy was fucking amazing.
I'm not saying I hated Cable Guy. It wasn't my favorite. So, but we're not talking about the Cable Guy. We're talking about family business. Okay? Right. The best part of this movie was the main 3 actors. Even though I'm not the highest on Matthew Broderick, the dynamic those 3 played off each other was great.
Yeah.
And you have 2 absolute icons in Sean Connery and Dustin Hoffman, and then a so-so actor, in my taste, in Matthew Broderick. My biggest thing is he went from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, had a couple little blips in between there, and in this movie, he was the shit at Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and then it just rolled downhill until it landed at the bottom right here. With that being said, I do not think it's a terrible movie. I just think it's slow, it's dry, and it couldn't be made today because of how sensitive some people are. And I understand why it would be offensive to them. So it's just, you also got thrown into a shitstorm where 3 good movies were taken already. Well, 2 and a half.
2 were.
So we'll get into those later, but it just wasn't great in terms of Sean Connery. But it was a movie.
All right, so it's on me. And my honorable mentions for Sean Connery is Macbeth. He did a TV movie called Macbeth. Was
he Macbeth in that one?
Yes. Yeah. I'm a big Shakespeare kind of guy. Like my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie. If you ever do that, I'm
Romeo and Juliet.
I'm picking Romeo and Juliet.
Oh yeah, it's a good movie.
And then my second one is The Rock. However, I'm going off of heart right now. This comes from deep from my heart. I'm picking uh, Finding Forrester. Finding Forrester is about a young man, a young black man from the hood, that is a really, really talented writer, and got a scholarship to go to a, a scholarship to go to a prestigious school. And I mean, pick and choose they wanted to be there for basketball or not, but still, he had a scholarship to go to a prestigious school, and where because of who he is, a lot of teachers didn't think that he was good enough to be there. Then he befriended a mentor while sneaking in his house, but still befriended a mentor in Sean Connery, who was Forrester, who was a writer back in the day. And he helps him with his writing. He helps him stay in school. He helps him become a better man. The reason why this is like so dear to my heart because I see myself in this a lot. I see myself when I was younger. I thought I was talented in some ways, and then I got to go to a boarding school, a prestigious boarding school on the East Coast, Milton Hershey, and I had a mentor as well. So this hit home. This movie is just dear to my heart. I did pick one that's coming up, but I decided not to go with that because I love this movie with a passion. I love the relationships in this movie with him, his brother, him, his mom. His mom's a strong black woman that's trying to make it. Him and Sean Connery, him and the girl from True Blood, I forgot her name.
Anna Paquin?
Anna Paquin, sorry. Anna Paquin. His friends, he still kept his friends. It's a really, really good, feel-good movie. All right, Evans, on you.
Finding Forrester it's a touching movie. It touches on what people would describe as underprivileged black youth in America not having those resources kind of and someone to necessarily believe in them, and it's a great story. Sean Connery's character in this, he's such a kind, compassionate person. He sees the potential and he acts on it, whereas there are
he's not that kind. Let's say that he sees his potential, but he's definitely not that kind.
There's a lot worse people out there.
Oh, you damn right. So, but if I would choose a mentor, I don't want a mentor that's kind to me. I need a mentor like Sean.
You need a mentor that's going to push you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, it's a good representation of what more people should do to people of every race, not just underprivileged black youth as well. If there's potential, don't break a person of that potential. Feed it, develop it, make that potential grow. And it's just a solid movie. It's not in my top 5 for Sean Connery, but it's up there. It's a good movie.
Cam's on you.
All right, so another one I hadn't seen until this list. I watched it into almost its entirety. I don't hate it. It's a good movie overall. I have a few bones to pick with it, only because there's little things. And granted, it's always like this in movies where they kind of have to, the trail kind of has to lead a certain way, and so things kind of just have to fit into that. But he meets Jamal, which is the name of the kid, meets Sean Connery's character, whose last name's Forrester, Mr. Forrester, on a dare or whatever, when he's apparently the shut-in guy in the neighborhood, and the dare is to break into his home, right? And then he leaves his backpack. The guy taunts him with the backpack by hanging it in the window. And then he goes back on a random day, and the guy says, one, he like went through his whole backpack and like edited all of his notebooks. It was just like, this is crap. You didn't need none of this. Where were you going with this story? Like, just took the liberty to read all, invade his entire privacy, which I don't blame him.
Oh,
because he broke into his house.
Yeah.
Okay, so I understand that part. I guess because Jamal this part I do identify with. I was one of those kids who didn't feel challenged. It was kind of just like, this is what you want, so here you go. And it was just, it is what it is. So I could understand his like need for someone to be challenged in some direction. I just don't understand how that relationship got built. It didn't really make any sense to me. Like, how quickly he just jumped in and trusted him. Like, homeboy jumped at him with a knife the first time he let him in the apartment. And he was just, all right, cool, and came back. Like, I was just like, that it felt a little rushed in that part because it just didn't, I don't think that flowed naturally at all. Like, he went from the shut-in guy that you never seen to now you're at his house every day, and now you have a key in like a week. Like, and this is in the hood. Like, so it's just like, but there were some highlights, and what I really like is that there is a point where just like, Mr. Forster has been helping, Jamal's character. There is like throughout, like towards the second half, Jamal ends up helping Mr. Forster, who essentially became a shut-in, like break, I guess, out of his fear of going outside or kind of get over the anxiety that was built from being inside for so long. So I thought that was beautiful because it brought a little bit of balance to the story. It just had like this glaring, obvious thing that is not wrong, but still like is annoying to the fact that like you literally needed a white man to give, like, for you to get the credit that you already deserved. Like, is how the movie pretty much ends. And and that little part is just like, it bothered me. But that doesn't mean it wasn't true. So I can't be that bothered.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, it was true though. I mean, he needed. Listen.
Yeah, it happens every day. Like, I was just like,
his asshole teacher didn't want to believe that he wrote that story, and then he needed the person that to help him out. I mean, it is what it is. All right, Paul's on you.
I haven't seen this when it was first listed. Went and watched it and looked at it. I guess Cam and I have different spectrums. You can't F with this. I think to me, that was I think for me, it was just, it's relatable with transitions that we're going through as a culture to me right now. And you're right, Cam, I understand, white guy, it takes that. That's unfortunate. But like DeAndre said, that's what seems to had to occur for people to understanding. And I just hope we get past that as a nation, as a culture, plain and simple. I can speak for myself, but I don't look at anyone and see color, sex, religion, anything else. To me, we're all just people. We're the good people, we're bad people, plain and simple. And what I really enjoy this movie is how really they help each other so much. There was so much help with each other. What Forster got out of it, what Jamal got out of it. Weird, not weird, but different relationship. Like you said, here's this white man. Here's this black young man, getting recognition. And so to me, it was so compelling. It was so relatable for everything that we're going through. And, it's 20 years ago and that was made 20 years ago. And I hope in another 20 years, we're going to look at it and just go, oh, that's silly. Why would that ever happen? Who cares if he's black? But it's unfortunate that's what our culture is right now. And that's what we're trying to get through. So I love Sean Connery. Got a little man crush for him. And he plays it so well. And again, he died. Sorry if anybody's watching this. We killed the ending to this. But it was just so relatable on all spectrums. yeah, I mean, it's just a good movie. It was just a good movie. Another way of showing how Sean can just do so much in different ways, but all similar. That's the only way I can explain that. It sounds kind of strange,
Mhm.
but I just thought it was a great movie. It's one that we can watch with other people. It doesn't matter. In fact, it's one of those things I think should be watched constantly. And I think when you watch it a couple of times, every time you watch a movie, you'll learn more and more about it, or you'll see something you missed. And this is something that I'm gonna watch again. Watch again. So
Oh, can I say two things
All right.
No.
before the next person goes?
Mhm.
Plus, Busta Rhymes is acting in this movie.
Busta Rhymes is acting, and he's
Bust
not.
bus.
And he's not bad though. It's not the worst acting. It's
I've
not-
seen
Love
worse.
Busta
I have
Rhymes
seen
is
He's
worse.
like-
and I was just like, is
He's
that
Beyonce.
Busta? Like,
Yeah.
he's
I've
better
seen
than
Beyonce.
petty. Two, I want to say that Mr. Forrester's lifestyle, I feel like, is half of my generation's future. A lot of the smart ones who kind of like don't like dealing with people all the time, we're gonna end up as that's who we're gonna be. I just want you guys to know. So when you see that young person that breaks into your house, don't forget to edit their paperwork. This could be you.
Yo, so with that
Like
being
20 to 40 years.
with that being said too, man, they got like Paul and Cam said, they got close. They helped each other out, and then he passed away. Spoiler alert. But then they got so close, like basically Jamal was Forrester's best friend. They got so close, and well, it's technically family. They got so close that listen, I'm dead. However, I'm gonna write in my will that you get everything. Gave him everything, the apartment, everything. So I mean, like I said, it's, for me, just to feel good. I feel in my heart. That's a good movie. All right, Evan, your movie.
So, my movie is my favorite, obviously, Sean Connery movie. But first, got a couple honorable mentions. Let's get the one that people don't like the most out of the way. It's a movie called Dragonheart. He voices a dragon. It's got Kevin Costner in it. It's one of my favorite like medieval style movies. So there's that. I'm gonna also say his second highest rated movie on IMDb ever, which is Goldfinger. It's one of the better James Bond movies, in my opinion. There are a ton of James Bond movies. So, and then the last one is The Untouchables. I like that whole movie. So, and he plays, who does he play in that one again? I forgot the name of him. I have it right here. He plays Jim Malone. So it's kind of a like smaller-ish role, but still there. So with that being said, the movie I chose was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. This is actually the most recent movie out of the four chosen. It was in 2003. It was, for lack of a better term, one of the bigger crossovers at the time, but it wasn't like a superhero crossover kind of or anything like that. It was different kind of crossover. Like it had superpowers and some stuff like that. Like it had Captain Nemo and it had Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. It had fucking
Dracula's
the dude-
wife.
who?
Dracula's wife.
Yeah, and then it had the
Gray.
Dorian Gray. So it was a lot of kind of like mythological or like horror story kind of crossovers. But it was such an eventful movie for me. And then Sean Connery's portrayal of Alan Quartermain, it was great to me. I really like this movie. It's hard to describe unless you just watch it. I went into it expecting something different, and then it just blew me away. So,
Okay, Cam's on you.
All right. I'm glad I get to go first. I heard of this movie, never seen it. Like Evan said, it's a visual mashup of all these literary characters that, like, if you're into literature, you've heard of these people. Or not people, these characters. You know who they are. And they kind of put them all in the same pot. And I wanted to love this movie. And I feel like had it been done today with a bigger budget, I would.
ooh,
With
let's
that being
petition for a
said-
remake.
I would be cool with that because again, I like the concept of the movie. I like bringing together all these literary characters because that's that's my kind of thing. Book and cinema coming together is like love. Anyway, I didn't love it, and I wanted to, and I was so excited, and then it just didn't like hit that like spot for me that I was really hoping was gonna hit. And again, I think it's because of the budget of the movie more than the actual like concept. But Sean Connery's role within the movie was good. He was one of the like most consistent throughout the movie. He's pretty much the center of most of it. And you know, they have his character in this movie has a very good balance. It's just the league altogether was disappointing. And I feel like it could have been done a little bit better. But at the same time, trying to bring together a list of characters that half of them already have a bad side or are a bad side, it's I guess things going wrong is kind of what should happen, but it's just the way they rolled it out for me just was a little shaky. But overall, it is a decent movie. If they made a remake, I would definitely be there to watch it. I don't want people to think that I don't like the movie. It's just, I guess because I had so high expectations for it, it kind of let me down a little bit. Overall, still a good movie.
Pause on you.
I'm proud.
Evan. All right. The film itself, the movie itself, I love. I love mixing fantasy type characters with, you know, character and fictional characters, and fictional means it's not real.
Bringing it back.
It was like, just in case these episodes get cut up, I just want you to know.
But unfortunately, this is for your selection here, Evan. You know, this just.
I want to know button.
All right, one more time. I hate Sean Connery in this movie.
But you love him.
I love him as an actor, but I hate him as a character in this film. And the reason being is it's called The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Okay, he's in the league. He's a gentleman. But he's not extraordinary. He doesn't do anything special. He's a great shot. He can shoot really well. He is a leader. But he brings nothing to that team. He brings nothing. Captain Nemo could take over the leadership on that one. And that's why I really struggled on that one. I mean, you got Captain Nemo. You got Mina Harking, you know, vampire. You got Roddy Skinner, you know, invisible. You got Dorian Gray that doesn't die unless he sees himself. Tom Sawyer, Doctor. Anyways, all these special things they can do. You know, Captain Nemo and everything else with his just brilliant mind and the things he creates, mechanical. But then there's Alan, Sean Connery. He doesn't bring anything to the team. I'm sorry. They could have taken him out of the whole story and focus on a lot of other characters, and I think it would have been just as good, if not, I'm not going to say better, but just as good. That being said, back to what Cam said, I would love, and I was really disappointed they haven't come out with the second version of this yet. Because I like the movie itself and the characters and the plot and, you know, and how that came around. Because it's interesting. It's like, what if? It's when you bring fantasy into real world, you know, and what if that did happen. I love books and movies like that. But yeah, sorry. In this film, it just wasn't good. Plain and simple.
Okay, so I'm guessing the eyeball because Evan, I can't fuck with it. First things first. Like I said, this was going to be my pick if I didn't switch it. So and I love this movie. Now I'm going to say Paul and Kim is right about one thing. If they ever remake this movie with today's technology and some good actors, oh my goodness, I feel like this would be great. With that being said, I'm going to talk to Paul real quick. Sean Connery being a leader, right? And he said he doesn't bring anything to the table outside he's a good shot. And technically, I think they said he doesn't die, but obviously he did die. Again, the movie he dies in too. Damn it! All right, so But you can say that about Captain America too, though.
What?
You can say that about Captain America too.
Captain America.
Yo, listen. If you don't think that Alan shouldn't be a fucking a leader, because he was a leader. He made sure.
America.
Let me explain.
Up.
Let me explain. Okay. If you don't think that Alan can be a leader, all you need was a leader of this group, of these bad motherfuckers. Technically, this reminds me of Suicide Squad a little bit. So some bad people that you wouldn't.
I disagree. I'm with Paul. He can't hang with the rest of these characters at all. Captain America could be in the mix. Thor, let me hold your hammer. Like, come stop playing. On Captain America. Stop. That's America's ass. All right. You better talk like you know.
Goddamn right, that's America.
You guys started. You guys started now.
So yes, he picked. Listen, yes, he picked up the fucking. He was wholesome enough.
He was worthy.
He wasn't very special, but for his mindset, I think that he was a good leader for that role.
Think about this. A lot of these films we've talking about too with Sean Connery. What has Sean Connery always kind of been? He's kind of been
the
mentor, daddy, or whatever you want to call it.
What happens when you're old?
It's kind of repeat here.
Unless it's James Bond.
We're just gonna go in circles, but basically, like I said, if you take Sean Connery out of this film, I don't think it changes anything from it. That's all.
Okay. All right. Cam's on you. Your movie.
All right. I just like to say before I list my actual movie, Sean Connery, obviously a very great actor. May he rest in peace. But like, I think all the movies, with like the exception of maybe like one, he's old in like all the movies, and it's almost like Morgan Freeman, because I'm kind of just like, were you young? Like, I was just like, why don't I remember your face before you?
So Sean Connery was born in 1930, and his first James Bond movie, which was I believe was Dr. No, and that was 62, so he was 32 at that. The Macbeth movie, he was 31.
Yeah,
because the man, like, at no point does he look like super youthful, and I'm just like, is it me? Is it the time? Is it the film? Because some of them are older. You know how like old like films are. I was just like, he's like the white Morgan Freeman, and it was just anyway.
Darby O'Gill was he was 29.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, I'm gonna go dig just out of curiosity, but anyway. With that being said, my Sean Connery role is the only time that he was ever in an Indiana Jones movie, and I felt like he definitely made it one of my favorites. Indiana Jones obviously is a older set of movies. Like I don't think they remade them. And so all of them are a little dated. So the movies now, in being that is 2020, soon to be 2021, if this year ever ends, you have to take with a grain of salt because, you know, cinematography just is not, you know, the same. And we've gotten used to a lot more. With that being said, I feel like his character is a character that's needed in a lot of films. And his character in this movie is almost kind of similar to in Family Business, but better, because he's that straight shooter, don't do nothing stupid. Why would you do, like, he's the one that, like, you know, when you're in the movie, you're like, don't do that. Why would you go? Like, you're thinking all that. He's the character on screen that says it out loud. And I always value those characters because I really don't like when people ignore the obvious in movies and just act like that's okay. And so whenever it's brought like to the screen and through a really good character that can do it well, I'm always for it. And so that is why this is my choice.
All right. Pause on you.
Oh no.
No, it's all right. So I might have chosen this one if it hadn't been chosen, to be honest with you, Cam. My problem with this one is just how he was, how he's portrayed, the character's portrayed in the beginning as a father. Father just neglected Indiana. He just neglected him. Says, "Whoop, you do this, leave me alone. I'm gonna focus all my time on you know, The Last Crusade, all his notes, and we all know about the little notepad that he spent his whole life on. And he spent all that time into this little Bible thing, but no attention towards Indiana. But that was so bad that from a character standpoint, that's how Indiana got his name. He chose to be called after the dog because he didn't want to be associated that way. So I mean, that's the bad about that part. And I think my problem with this film is actually that he wasn't in it more. That's my problem with this film.
Yeah, he does come in a little bit later after.
He's more than a third into the movie. They have a quick little voice over in the beginning showing him doing his thing, and then all of a sudden, everything else goes out, and he finally comes in. So that's my really big problem with this one, and why I wouldn't say, I can't F with it, just because he's not involved as much. He plays a good character. It's a slightly different character on this one too. He kind of plays that hard ass, but older, corny role, if you ask me at times. Like
I thought he said something else there. I was like, wait, what the fuck? What movie was we watching?
Like
that comes with the age, Evan. You'll see
whole
about
umbrella
20.
thing that
No, I'm just kidding.
the whole umbrella thing that he has all the birds and kills off the Nazis and stuff.
That part was a little cheesy.
Cheesy. And then he looks back and he's just all. And then whenever India does anything, he doesn't give him any credit. Just like, oh yeah, should have done that. Anyways, that's the issue with that one. Is I think he could have been sooner, and maybe not play the role so corny. But maybe that's what just it called for. So, but I love the movie. That's one of my favorite movies ever. I watch it all the time. I watched it. I think a couple of days before I even got involved with this, and so it's on my regular. So love the film. Just didn't really. Not my favorite with Connery on this one.
Okay, so I'm gonna go.
Oh boy.
And for me being a so-called nerd, I'm putting this franchise actually, with Lord of the Rings, with Star Wars and Star Trek.
You're terrible.
You're
and
not a
I dislike this franchise. I dislike this franchise. There's a big gripe I have with the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'll say that later. However, with this movie, I'm going to just focus on Sean Connery, and Paul literally took everything I was going to say. His character in this movie reminds me of the character in Family Business a little bit. Just the asshole father, no respect to your son. He can't do well at anything. Like, you don't give him that yeah, you did his son and all that kind of good shit. I'm not asking for the participation trophy, but damn, when you do something great, just say you did something great. Shit.
Shit.
So yeah, and yes, this is super cheesy. It really is. It really is. So I am. Yeah.
It's put that perfect.
So yeah, I am not a fan of Indiana Jones. I'm not a fan of this movie, and I'm gonna go a little tangent. If I can say it, I hate the reason why I hate because I hate Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm gonna read this because it's true. This is the main reason why I hate the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Indiana Jones plays no role in the outcome of the story. If he weren't in the film, it would turn out exactly the same. If he weren't in the movie, the Nazis would still have found the Ark, taken it to the island, opened it up, and all died, just like they did.
That dude in that one scene where he shot him, he'd be alive, so he had an outcome.
The whole overall scene, the whole movie was just like that, though.
But isn't that true about all life, Dre? We only make small impacts on the people we know, and life goes on.
Well, if you go off the butterfly effect, then no. Like,
the butterfly effect is bullshit. There's no way to prove that, Dre. What are you talking about?
How do we know it's bullshit?
So you telling me the ladybug that I flicked off my motorcycle is the reason why my great-grandchild is gonna have pneumonia? What are you talking about, Dre? Like,
how don't you know? How don't you know this though?
How do you know that it is?
How don't you know? Because listen.
You know what? No, I'm not even gonna ask. I'm not gonna argue because you know, Dre, you're right. The absence of evidence. You are right.
So with that being said, evidence.
So The biggest gripe I have with The Last Crusade is that it's the only one Sean Connery's in. I think when they brought him in, they set it up perfectly for him, even though, yes, it's a terrible movie, for him to be in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I think that would have made a little bit more of a difference for that movie if you bring back that character, because the dynamic between Indy and his kid in that movie is just dumb. But if we had Sean Connery's character there for comedic relief, it would have been a little bit better. But with all that being said, Sean Connery, terrible father. Terrible father. You know, DeAndre, I actually can kind of see your point where Indy could be and not be in the movies and it might still come out the same. No, I do not mind The Last Crusade. DeAndre, you lost your nerd card. Turn in your comic books, please.
Man, listen, he ain't got no comic books. He ain't got no nerd card.
Who don't have no comic books?
Who don't just because you say it on the mic don't make no.
This movie's good. It's not my favorite out of the Indiana Jones movies. It's definitely better than Kingdom. So, yeah.
All right. With that being said, Evan, your ranking.
Okay, let's go. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen 1, Finding Forrester 2, Indiana Jones 3, and Family Business 4, just because it's a smaller known role. Not a lot of people know it unless they see it. So,
Cam's on you.
Okay, Indiana Jones 1, Finding Forrester 2, The League of Ordinary Gentlemen 3, Family Business 4.
Pause on you.
Finding Forrester number 1. Last Crusade number 2. Family Business number 3, and The League as number 4.
Okay, so this is hard for me because I just realized that I'm not as big as a Sean Connery fan as I thought I was. So number
I just
one,
like his voice. I'm never gonna lie.
oh, his voice is amazing. It's iconic voice, kind of like
Forrest Whitaker.
It sounds like he's my Morgan Freeman. Like
Yeah,
he was
Morgan
just
Freeman.
like my Morgan Freeman. Like
kind of like Morgan Freeman and the Allstate guy. One is Finding Forrester. 2 is League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Not by a lot. 3 is Indiana Jones, and then 4 is Family Business. So with that being said, stay tuned for next week where we will be talking about high things. And yes, I said it, high things. So the topics are the best stoner movies, the best method to receive THC, and then we're going to have a
or CBD for you,
or CBD,
non-integrated states.
Or, and then the last topic is just going to have a quote unquote high conversation. With that being said, my name is DeAndre Robinson. These are my friends. Say goodbye, friends.
Once again, my name is Evan Hamataki, and once again to Channer, my NOCJ, because we miss you. They call me Stretch Nuts.
I'm disgusted as usual. Goodbye, friends. This is Cam.
This is Paul. It's been fun. Hopefully I get a chance in the future. But I appreciate every one of you guys. Be safe. Be nice to each other.
So with that being said, too, we want to thank Paul for doing this, stepping in. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week.